I hit go live.
You just count to three, right? Oh, you hit it already?
Yeah,
All
well, it
right.
says it's going.
Oh, it's
3,
going.
2, 1. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Spirit Sessions, a view of a glass morning. Have a beautiful day wherever you are. Come in and spend some time with us. We've got my friend Bex Marie here. Rhonda Elliott is on vacation right now. Her heart is with us. Can you feel it though? And we have our amazing friend, Chrysta Higgenbotham. We love her. We love her energy, and we have invited her in because she had this amazing opportunity, one of those ones that we're all waiting for. She had this really great opportunity to go to Peru. And what did she do with that opportunity? She practiced Qigong down there, and she learned to fall in love with the children, that now she's going to be starting new things going on. So much happened for Chrysta on this momentous vacation. And we're asking her to come in and share it with us. So welcome, Chrysta.
Hi, thank you. I'm so excited to be here, especially with y'all ladies. I'm sad that Rhonda's not here, but that's okay. I know she's here in spirit. She's off on her
Yes.
own adventures. But yeah, thank you so much for having me on. It was such a beautiful trip, and I know that Teresa, you have lineage
Yes.
in that
Yes.
area.
My
So for
ancestors
you and
come from
I,
Lima.
it's such a cool connection. Yes, exactly. So you have to go down there. It was awe-inspiring. I mean, I hit every end of the spectrum on the emotion scale. I'll tell you
Ooh.
that. It wasn't just full euphoria. I had lots of things come up that needed shedding and healing as well. And yeah, I came back with such an immense sense of gratitude for not only the ability to go on the trip, but for all of the things in life that I came back to, right? That maybe not necessarily everybody else has. And so I have, like you were saying, such a pull for the children there and
Yes.
for the people there that are working so hard to have half the comforts that we take advantage of every day, and how that actually builds their gratitude and builds their spirit and keeps their energy from stagnating because they live in that sense of gratitude every day for everything that they have. But so the culture in and of itself is a whole story. Machu Picchu was amazing. It's the second wonder of the world. They say it was built by the Incans, but we all know that it was built long, long before that. The Incans even believed that. So that was a fun part of my trip, is comparing the information that was being presented to what actually resonated with what I knew to be true as well. You know what I mean? So I wrote down like three basic things that I came back with. The first one was gratitude. The second one was shedding of identities, and I wanted to talk to y'all about that. And then also the healing connection that you get from experiencing nature at such a deep, deep level. So I don't even know where to start because I get so excited. So I'll just kind of start from the beginning, I guess. My girlfriend
Yeah,
is
the
from
synchronicity
Bolivia.
that brought you.
Yeah.
Yes, one of my good friends that I have been friends with since 2012. Her name is Lorena, and she is from Bolivia. And she is one that moved here and started a life in America. And she married an American man, and her husband allowed me to tag along with them as they went to go visit their family in Bolivia. So they kind of catered their family vacation around me a little bit because they said, "Hey, we're going to Machu Picchu. We know you want to go. Do you want to come with us?" How can anybody say no to that? You know what I'm saying? Like, no, I'm gonna wait till I retired and I have all the money saved up. Or no, I'm gonna wait until, vacation where the kids can stay with their grandma. It was one of those that you can't say no to. My husband was amazingly supportive during that process, and thankfully, and because I went with family, I was able to afford to go, because I was able to like sleep on their couch or their floor. Even they offered me their bed in most scenarios. And so I was fed and lodged the whole time I was there, which in and of itself was such a beautiful blessing to like kind of lean back into the universe providing for you, which is a lot of what that
Ooh.
trip brought to me. I almost wasn't able to go because of the fires, in South America. And then there was the hurricane near Florida, which I was flying
Yes.
through. And then
Yes.
2 days before I left, I found out my identity was stolen by a felon,
Oh.
and I was afraid
Yes.
I wouldn't be able to fly internationally. I would be arrested at the border.
Oh my
And so
goodness.
it was really, really interesting the way that the universe was like, here, I have this for you, the desire of your heart. But then, like, everything around it kind of started crumbling, you know what I'm saying? And when that happens and you go through that emotion process where everything is kind of crumbling around you, you have to, like, go inward and lean into, okay, I have to trust right now that what's meant to be will be. And then when you go into that place, instead of going into what old program, Chrysta, which would be anxiety attacks, giving up, recoiling in fear, wallowing, you know what I'm saying? All of those things, instead of all of those things coming up, I was like, okay, I really got to sit in this storm and be the eye of the storm and just trust.
Yes. Oh, such a
And
beautiful lesson.
oh, it was such a beautiful lesson now. Like, you're like, this is not beautiful. This is not the way it's supposed to be, because we have all of these, you know, ideas and expectations and boxes and constraints that we put things in and how they're supposed to look in our life. And when that happens, when you let things fall apart a little bit, no, not that I just was like, okay, take my identity and run, lady. It wasn't like that, but I had to trust that the trip was still going to happen. When you let things kind of crumble around you, they actually fall into place. And that's what happened.
Wow.
You know, I was able to get my name cleared within 24 hours. It was freakishly quick. And I was able to get there with short overlays and things like that, where it just worked out perfectly. So stepping onto that land, onto the land in Peru, off that plane, was like in and of itself a momentous accomplishment, right? When I got there. And so that's the gratitude started going deeper and deeper and deeper of, okay, I'm so grateful. I am so thankful. I am abundant. I'm not coming from a place of lack or need. The universe is providing everything that I need for me. And living in that space was actually the perfect vibration to enter into, because that is the vibration of that culture. You know what I'm saying? A culture of people who, live off of, selling trinkets that they make on the streets. And, I saw so many animals sleeping on the streets, and then just being dependent on being fed by tourists. And the nature and the vibration of being completely dependent upon the earth, and then also living in this trust of being taken care of and supported, but also being in the place of gratitude for service as well, was just such a beautiful signature, vibrational signature to live in. You know what I'm saying? And so the first few days we got to go to Machu Picchu, and then the second couple of days we were in La Paz, which is actually higher in elevation. It's actually much higher. They have snow-capped mountains there. And then the third chunk of the trip, I got to go to Cochabamba, which is more of the lower end of the mountain, kind of jungly area in Bolivia.
Ooh, neat.
So it was really interesting, because I was cold, freezing, and then hot, and then freezing, and then hot. And so it was interesting to experience also all the different weather types that were there. But so the first few days we landed, we got to Machu Picchu, and that took quite a bit of a journey. It was a 3-hour train ride just to get to the base of the mountain from Cusco, Peru. Oh. And then you hike for at least an hour to get to the point where everybody takes the pictures.
Wow.
And I was overwhelmed, you know how that feeling is when you feel, some people would call it the Holy Spirit, some people would call it like connecting with God, some people would call it the feeling of true forgiveness and non-judgment, unconditional love, but that feeling that can wash over you, a lot of times it happens in the Akashic Records or through Reiki, or right? Where the tears just flow out of your body. And so that I experienced that almost every day that I was there. Every single day, just like, walking up and being like, this is my reality, and this is happening, and I can feel this energy flowing through me. I just was overwhelmed, and my poor girlfriend's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm great." And it was so beautiful, because when you're kind of plucked out of your environment and put into a totally different place, part of the process is a shedding of your identity. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So through this process, I went through a shedding of anything related to where I lived, or anything I knew about my own culture wasn't a part of me. It didn't need to be anymore. I didn't have to be a mom, a wife, a sister, a daughter, a life coach, anything. I just was me at the core of me. And sometimes we forget who that is, you guys.
Yeah.
We're so busy being the identity, the archetype, the person that we've built and created. And so there was so much shedding of all of those things that really brought me into a space of feeling my divinity, feeling that connection with source, with that infinite potential, and feeling that deep joy come over me, that unshakable joy that can't be permeated by outward experience, because we aren't part of a, even though we're having outward experience, we are a divine being that's above, around, below, through all of those things. We're not defined by those things. Our definition is true source joy, unconditional love, right? At the core of us. And I think that's why I wanted to call it calling to my roots, because it was a going inward even of what is Chrysta, and not even Chrysta with the name, the identity of the name of Chrysta, right? And it was so beautiful to go into that space and then feel a connection with that culture, feel a connection with the ancient culture and the things I learned about the Incans and how technologically smart they were. They had plumbing in this Machu Picchu specifically. They had plumbing in there. And I just thought that was so really, really cool. And the stones were, 15 tons. There's no way they could have physically brought them up there themselves, right? Not without some kind of technology or help. But so during that process, that was one of the points I wanted to bring up, identity and belief systems and that shedding. I was able to, reach my sovereign divinity, an unbiased place. And unbiased was such a weird word that came through to me, so I had to look it up. And it means like lopsided or preference.
Oh,
nice. When you're in a space, in that void, you're not really in a preference because all is one. You know what I'm saying? It's not lopsided. There's balance. And I was unattached. And when that happened, when you get in that vibration, all of the things that you're holding on to have to like dislodge off of you, right? Anything that you're carrying with you. And I noticed that there was something I was still carrying with me, an unhealed aspect of myself that was meant to come out at this moment, right? Not before, when I healed myself of endometriosis a few years ago. It wasn't until now. And that was the story of loss that I was carrying around, specifically in relation to losing my father in 2011. And that was when I first began my dark night of the soul, right? Where I really got middle finger to the sky, wasn't about spirituality anymore even, and had to come full circle. And there was a mini version of that experience that happened when I'm on this mountain, thinking to myself, why isn't my dad here right now, right?
Oh, wow.
And the identity, that last little bit of identity that I wouldn't shed, I had shed everything else, but I hadn't shed that. Even in this feeling of gratitude and abundance and joy, this little guy was like, hey, what's up? I'm ready, Chrysta, for you to address this. And so the tears of joy and gratitude turned to tears of pain. And, and that feeling of, okay, Chrysta, you carried this with you long enough. You carried it up a freaking mountain with you. And here you are, you know what I'm saying? And here you are not letting it go. Now it's time to let it go. And so I had kind of like, this experience where I'm climbing up the mountain and I'm getting less and less oxygen. Let's just say it that way.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot. Wow, how was that?
I was doing my Qigong breathing.
Okay.
Through the nose and
Did you get sleepy? Because some people get sleepy with the lack of oxygen.
No, not really at all. But I don't know if that's because I had so much energy flowing through me. Actually, no, I think the reason why is because of that electromagnetic energy coming from that mountain. I think, is it a piezoelectric? I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah.
But it reminded me of a Qigong move where you bounce on your heels. And the reason you do that is to apply that pressure from the bottom of your heels. And that creates, I think it's that electricity energy, piezoelectricity energy. And what that does is, one of the moves is to shed your body of illnesses and diseases, but it's also a grounding move. And what it does is it shoots that energy, that electric energy from the earth grid into your body. And that's what I felt like I was kind of doing when I was hiking. Like with each step I was taking, it was like burst of electric energy, burst of electric energy. And it was, very, very invigorating. So that, I guess, made up for the lack of oxygen. But I'm in this space where Guy is literally saying, okay, I'm pumping you up for this release. You know what I'm saying? I'm pumping you up for this release. And so I went through the process of kind of having to step outward even from that space of within my body and look down from the perspective of my higher self, our higher selves, God's perspective, whatever you really want to call it, from the perspective of Machu Picchu as a consciousness,
Oh,
from the perspective of the Incan people and their, that were still there in spirit, from all of the different omnipotent perspectives, and say, this isn't a story of loss. He was never lost. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. This is a story of abundance, of overcoming, of healing. And, if I hadn't have experienced that dark night of the soul, I wouldn't have been able to overcome and come to the place of taking over my endometriosis when I did and healing myself of that. And then I wouldn't have been inspired to be a better mom. And I wouldn't constantly be in gratitude if I hadn't experienced that loss as I had previously labeled it. So now
right.
I have changed and rewritten that story to, I released that baggage there at the top of the mountain and changed that perspective to, like, I wouldn't even be at Machu Picchu right now, maybe, if this event hadn't have catalyzed my change as a person. I would have been brave enough to step out of my box. And I immediately, when that happened, when I made that change, and the light coming over the mountains is just absolutely stunning. It was really just like, bam, all of a sudden his presence was with me, and he was like, finally, girl. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been here walking every step with you, and you know that. You know that. And so it was such a big healing for me on a personal level for that in and of itself. So, and then separately, that I learned so much about the Incan people. They worshipped the sun and the moon and the earth, and they had a different spirit for each of them. So the overlords of the sky or the sun was the condor. So every time you see a condor fly over, that was a synchronicity to them, which I thought was so cool. And same with a snake. You don't kill a snake when you come upon it. It is a reminder of the underworld and the dark things and the things that are unseen but are still inherently stitched into the creation of our reality, right? And then the third one was the cougar or puma. I couldn't remember which one it was because to me it looked like a cougar, but I swear they said puma. And that is the representation of physical man and of the physical world. And so you see this symbology in all of their in the rocks engraved in the ruins and stuff like that. And it's really interesting because a lot of times they have the snake above a door, not below it.
Weird.
And yeah, isn't that strange? And so that really kind of piqued my attention, and it made me wonder, because I know one of the things that they did is they had metal plates, like big metal plates that they lined the walls with in certain temples, so that when the sun came in, it would hit and reflect back and forth, and it could actually light up other temples through windows that they had strategically placed architecturally. And so they were really about the sun, but so I wanted to let me pull up this picture really quick.
I feel like I've seen that in Indiana Jones.
You're right.
Somebody told me I needed to watch Indiana Jones before I went, and I never got to it. And
That's very Indiana Jones.
Yeah. How cool is that?
This picture is kind of a good representation. Let's see if I can get up.
You know what? Let me see. I think I can actually pull it up on here.
You can? Oh my
God.
I did a little fancy thing here while you were talking. I'm going on Facebook.
Bex. Go, Bex.
Well, it's probably a good time to stop and say hi, because I know I yacked.
Oh, yeah. Well, let me see if I can go find the comments.
I don't want to share Google Chrome or the Blue Jeans
Let
application. Let me just share my desktop.
Okay.
Start sharing. Okay, here we go.
Light, give me light, Nancy.
All right, so you can see my screen. Yes. Can we see my screen?
Yes.
Yay!
Okay, so the one of the actual mountain, that was the sacred stone, which...
Oh, hold on, I have it. There we go. That one.
Okay, so if you turn your head sideways, so this is part of why I think they put the snakes on the top. If you turn your head sideways, they actually believe that Machu Picchu was another expression of Pachamama Gaia. So the biggest tallest point is her nose. The second tallest point is her chin. And in between is her
so
lip.
it's this way. Oh, that's so cool.
We're doing it the wrong way. So they actually considered this mountain a face. Another face or an expression of Pachamama, which is the underworld, the Gaia, the void, the primordial energy. And so I really believe that that's why they had snakes over the doorways a lot, because I feel like they were laying and looking at the stars a lot too. And so I thought that was a really cool example of the way that their perspective was changed. You know, they're at the top of a mountain, and instead of looking down, they're doing this kind of thing. You guys hear my kiddos screaming
They're
in the
excited
background?
too.
They're super excited. So, okay, do you want to go to another picture?
Sure. Let's go back.
Yeah. I found some comments here.
Okay.
Um, it's going so fast. I've never clicked at the comments before like you guys do. I can see that. I see it. So they're all seeing the face. We are late. We are late, but we are here with Boggy.
Woo!
So that's all I can
Wow.
see right now, and I can't scroll to get more. So
Y'all,
anyway,
okay,
let me
yeah.
come back.
Pamela, Cindy, Nancy, everybody's seeing it. Hi, Lynn. Awesome. Okay, so this picture is one of the many depictions that they have that are actually like engraved into the architecture and stuff. And so that symbol in the middle is like their cross. It's
Okay.
the symbol of all divinity to them. So you'll see that everywhere. And it's kind of a sacred geometry type symbol, which is what I loved about it, because it's squares mixed with circles.
Right.
And I guarantee you there were some triangles in there if it was a 3D version or something like that. Because you see at the bottom right, they have crystal pyramids.
Yeah, isn't that beautiful?
Sorry, my friend's husband, my friend's head's in the bottom of it. Tommy, her husband. I was like, move, Tommy, I gotta do this.
Yeah, what is the significance of those sunglasses in this?
I was wondering.
Yeah, exactly. Those represent rose-shaded perspective. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so as you see, it has the puma or cougar, and then the condor, and then they always have the snake kind of going through their symbols of divinity, which I think is a really cool way to show the polarity of light and dark and the balance between that. I think that's such an interesting thing because the snake represents the underworld, but they have it going through their symbol, which is their sun energy and that divine, holy, etheric energy as well. I thought that was a really cool depiction because that's actually Machu Picchu. And it doesn't have the ruins on it, which is also really interesting as well. So, do you want to go to the next one with it's like the colored? This was literally sun rays. So they saw all the different colors of the spectrum when they utilized the sun energy, when they had those gold plates in the sun temple. And they believed that that's where all energy came from, and that everything was energy, which I thought was really, really cool. They, the Incan people were in and of themselves a very, very holy and sacred people. They had their own elders, right, and people that they considered like deities, but they also knew and were aware that the place they inhabited was previously a very, very sacred place to ancestors from the stars, specifically from the stars. And so when I was doing my little tour up the mountain, of course, we have this man that his first language is Spanish, and his second language is English. So he's doing a pretty good job, of trying to explain it in English for me. And my little tour group, and he's got this, the little guidebook that they're supposed to read to you. And he starts talking about this, and I start asking him questions about it. And he didn't really have any more answers. He was kind of like sticking to the guidebook, and I'm like, don't your people know? And there is a difference in the culture. You'll see the people that are a little bit shorter that look like native Incans, like almost like that Native American skin tone with that beautiful black hair. And then you have the other people that you can tell that they have that Spaniard ethnicity in them as well. So there's still kind of a differentiation going on in that mixed culture. So not everybody has that ancestral knowledge and lineage, and stuff. And so I'm asking him, he's specifically talking about how they were able to hoist or roll and drag these 15-ton rocks up to the top of this mountain to build these, and this perfect architecture, right? That everything matches line by line with laser technology, and it's built at a certain angle to where if the mountain shakes, it actually holds itself up, all of the things that, of course, they had, right? And I couldn't help myself. I had to ask him. I was like, so you're saying the Incan people are about half as short as me, but they can carry this up the mountain that I just about died and had a heart attack coming up by my own body weight.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And he's like, well, they created these long rolls that were like wheels, And he pulls out his guidebook, and he's like, see, here's a picture. And I was like, there's only 4 of them. I was
Oh
like, but
no. Oh
they could say
wow.
this way. Like, no, they could. And he's like, well, this is just a depiction. And I was like, so you're saying it wasn't their gods? Because, I mean, I think the Incan people believe that their gods built it. He was like, no, they built it in the 1400s, right before the Spaniards came.
It was already ruined. Yeah. No.
So we had to ask him again, I was like, so did the whole town come together to move to one rock? I'm a little sarcastic. I can't help myself, because I'm like, I'm getting chuckles from people that probably already think I'm crazy. And he's like, no, it didn't take that many, but they were able to do it. And I was like, so you're saying that it wasn't anti-gravity technology from the aliens, aka their deities? And he's like, he just looked at me like, please stop talking. And so I couldn't help it. I had to ask a few questions, and they're kind of told not to talk about it, which was really interesting to me. I'm just like, this is crazy. I'm in such a natural and beautiful place, and there's still programming that's following the consciousness of people, right, based on what they're told
It's true.
happens, what they're told to believe. So, okay, so if you want to go to the next one.
Chrysta, I was just pulling it together that you went through that Celestine prophecy recently, and especially if you watch the movie and you read the book, that totally started. I mean, the main thing about it was being down there in Peru,
Yeah,
and you got to go there.
Wasn't that the ultimate synchronicity? It was
Yeah.
absolutely insane because I didn't start reading it because it was about Peru or South America. I had no idea. I was just like, I want to do this series on the Celestine prophecies on synchronicity because it's such a beautiful way to describe how energy works. And these are all the areas that are helping me. And then I get to I don't know what chapter 6 or something, and he literally says Machu Picchu, and I'm like, my heart
Yeah.
just completely exploded. I was like, oh my gosh, this is meant to be. This means that it will happen, because there was so much trust that was needed for me to know that it would happen, which made it that much sweeter,
Yes.
when I was there. So it was yet another example of having to experience the polarities of both. But yes, Celestine prophecies, and they have such beautiful depictions of interacting with energy in that book, specifically around mountains and around sunrise and sunset with that sun energy. So that's such another beautiful synchronicity. And the book doesn't even talk about the Incan people specifically. It's just
Right.
this man's one journey for the manuscript and all of those insights and prophecies and stuff. So yes, and then so this picture is a little. I didn't get the whole thing, but it talks about how the actual Incan people their deities were called Corehachana, and their words that is not Spanish, that is Quechua, which is their native language, and it even says the Andean culture because they know that this predates the Incans, and the Andean is the Andes Mountains basically, and it talks about how they specifically followed. Where is it at? The Alpha and Beta Centauri, that specific set of constellations, which I think is amazing because we all know that the pyramids in Egypt are based on, what is it, Orion?
Yes.
Or a certain subset of constellations, and in other places in China and Asia and all around the world, all pyramids generally, or megalithic structures or any structure, right, that they find that's laser cut like that and impossible to have been built by man's little, tools, they're always
We still
under
can't
a set
today.
Right.
We still don't have the technology today to do the same.
No, I watched a documentary that said for Machu Picchu specifically, they would have had to cut into the mountain to level it off just so that they could get the cranes and stuff to roll up it
Oh my
themselves,
gosh.
and then they would have to hoist things and pull them, and it would be so expensive that it wouldn't even be worth it, basically. Yeah, so they would have to actually cut into the mountain, and this is, a city of people that live in unison with nature and with the mountain and utilize that energy. So okay, I wanted to tell you about that, about these constellations, because I think that's such a beautiful depiction of how so many different cultures. Yeah, you can take it to the next one because this is the picture of it. How so many different cultures, isn't that beautiful? they follow the constellations. They all say that we started from the stars. They all say that we are a creation from the universe. They all have deities that helped them ascend to a certain level, right? From caveman even, or any kind of ascension. So this picture, do you see a dragon, Teresa?
I see a dragon right
Yeah.
there. It's like, oh my God, it's beautiful.
Yeah, so it doesn't, in that little blurb we just looked at, it doesn't say anything about dragons. It talks about llamas and the cougars and the snakes. But I saw a dragon, and I actually thought of
Yeah,
you.
look at that, baby.
Because I
Thank
was like,
you.
wow, the dragon energy is with these people as well. They just have different names. It's all semantics, right? For all of these different cultures, they have different names for the same universe and the same experiences with a higher consciousness, right? Whether it be our angels in the Bible or whatnot, you know. And so I think that was such a beautiful depiction to show this is what they looked at. This is where they believe they came from, you know, and how they watched and they built their architecture around this aspects of the sky, maybe waiting for their ancestors, their deities to return, like
Oh,
many
yeah.
religions, you know, waiting for their Christ to return even.
You're right.
So, yes, I wanted to share that. It was super healing because there was no TV. I thought that one was absolutely
I love
stunning.
that.
I don't even know what that one's called. I just found it to be really interesting because I found sacred geometry in it. I found a very insane, intense, strong vibration from it because it looks
Wow.
like it's made out of like iron, like the Iron Age.
Right.
Which I found really, really interesting. It made me like kind of have another idea of what it looked like back then. You know what I mean? And what things looked like
Wow.
back then. It was built out of like gold in a sense because they used a lot of
Right.
gold. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah,
How beautiful.
it was so beautiful. That's the opposite of La Pachamama, which is the earth
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. Oh yeah. Let me show you guys this one too. This was the one thing that I came back with really.
Wait,
Happen.
go ahead. Yeah, now I can see it. What? Oh, oh, look
It's
at
really
that.
big.
Oh,
Isn't that gorgeous? So that's Pachamama down there. And see, that's kind of the same symbol.
It
It almost
is.
looks like a year, and then they have this, which is a more feminine symbol, very similar to Reiki symbols. And that's her
Yes.
basically like under the earth. And this is like kind of like all the representations of manifestation of the earth, and you see the sun and moon are inside of it.
Yes.
Isn't that neat? So
amazing.
instead of outside of it, it's within it, which I thought was a really cool depiction of, I mean, reality as a whole, right? We think everything is outside of us that's actually within us,
Right.
and it's
Oh,
all
wow.
interconnected, you know? So just take that energy in, guys.
Ooh, I love
This,
it.
I believe he called it the calendar, but I couldn't, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, yeah. I couldn't figure out which season really was which because it's such a beautiful and striking image as a whole. And it's on some kind of leather. It might be alpaca because they use alpaca for everything.
Right.
But this
Yeah,
was
I've
my
heard
little
that.
inspiration that I brought back as well from the healing. You know, not. I was starting to say when I was there, I didn't have any TV for like 9 days and only the smallest amount of Wi-Fi, right, to be able to be like text my family and be like, I'm alive, and then post a couple pictures and stuff. And there was something so healing about being completely disconnected. And it added to the entire experience of shedding the identities and the belief systems, right? Because there was absolutely no outside influence as to how I felt. I could live in that space of childlike wonder every day
Wow.
and respond to it as that person, you know, whoever that was, not necessarily as like Mom Chrysta and all those things. Mom Chrysta did come out though, when, you know, because when you see children, this is where I get a little emotional as well. When you see young children at the ages of 6 and 7 and 8 taking care of their little brother and little sister who are 3 and 4, who are also taking care of their 1-year-old, walking down the street and selling, you know, trinkets or things that they handmade, or even cigarettes in some cases, to complete strangers and tourists to basically contribute to their family's overall comfort and survivability, it will bring you to your knees. As
Oh my
you know,
gosh.
even before becoming a mom, I've always wanted to protect the innocent. And seeing these children come into adulthood at such a young age, or that type of responsibility, was it was deafening. Is the only way that I can put that feeling. Like it's kind of like really intense. And it was really hard on me to see that. I was like, ¿Dónde está su mamá? Like, where's your mom? Like, I was
Yeah.
becoming overprotective mommy Chrysta because I was like, what if they get hurt? What if they get stolen? What if anything could happen? And it was interesting to kind of sit back and be like, okay, this is a culture of people who feed all the dogs that just roam the streets, right? And who every single family owns their own little business to sell. Mom has to be within eyesight somewhere, right? Their mom has to be. So I'm like looking around and then I think to myself, oh great, now she's probably going to come over and get mad at me for being messing up her sales that her kids are getting her. And so it was a really interesting and strange position to be in because I couldn't do anything to change their lives, right? I could still see that they had genuine joy and happiness, these children. They really did because they lived in that state of constant gratitude. They didn't take
Oh,
advantage of all the little things like hot water and a bed to sleep on and all of those things that we take advantage of that stagnate our energy. Because when you become used to so much and you expect so much, then you're like, why isn't my water hot enough today? Instead of living in a place of gratitude, which is where our stagnation comes from. So I realized that
right.
that culture, even dealing in that hardship, their energy was so much more pure than here. It having
Wow.
so much less, and the culture as a whole was so classy. I don't know if there's a better way to say it. So classy. They greet you, they look you in the eye, and they kiss you on both
Nice.
sides of your cheek, and they welcome you into their home, stranger or not. And this isn't just,
Wow.
my family that I stayed with, because Lorena's family let me stay with them in La Paz, and then again in Cochabamba, which were both beautiful, beautiful cities. I got to experience some amazing food, but the culture was just such a beautiful thing to absorb. And so I came back with this need and this want and this desire to help any child that is stuck in a place where they can't help themselves. And I'm not saying that these children are starving. They're not. They're making it, but they're having to work really hard too. And
Do
there
they
are
get to
other
go to
children.
school too, or are they doing this instead of school?
They,
Okay.
it's a little both because there they can take a long lunch. They can take
Oh,
like a 2 hour lunch and stuff. So like a child is on lunch selling and then going back to school. And so it is really interesting to see. So they do get schooling, and that is amazing because actually their college is free as well. It's just a matter of the jobs being created there that aren't there once they graduate college, which is a whole nother political thing that that I experienced there as well. The political tension there, especially in Bolivia, they had guards around the presidential building that had semi-automatic weapons that small children were
oh,
walking right past them. I mean, my heart just drops. I was so uncomfortable in that space. And they're just like, la la la, I'm selling my candy and stuff. And so it was beautiful because it was so pure, but I want so much more for these people, not just these people, any people, for the whole world to come in, and all children to come into a place where they can step into their abundance, and maybe not in the way that I have, obviously, because I didn't have to go through all that, right? I don't want them to have to go through all that either, even though they are starting out on a higher vibration than I did, because they're living in that gratitude. So
amazing.
I came back with this desire and want in my heart, and I know, Teresa, I already spoke with you about it, and I'm going to do a fundraiser. I haven't decided exactly when. I haven't decided exactly through whom, because there are so many
Right,
organizations that are scams. I'm still
right.
vetting it out, but I want to work with an organization that helps children, specifically those seeking refuge at the borders. So, once it gets to the point where it's too bad, they have to seek asylum somewhere, and it is completely legal for people to seek asylum here. It is not illegal, and they should not be treated like animals or like
Right.
criminals.
Yeah.
especially children.
Yes.
And the things that are happening, not just at this border, but other borders in the world, to the children is absolutely it's not okay, and it's our right and our duty to stand up for them, I feel. And so I am looking for a program that's going to provide them with clean water and medical assistance, as well as protection from being violated. There's a lot of stuff out there that is pro bono lawyers and stuff that are helping to process the paperwork and everything that is what's supposedly the hang up and stuff like that. But my specific calling that I'm feeling now is to help them to stay healthy long enough to get through. And so
I see you with a book, making a book that's going to sell, and you're going to go on a tour called Blessing the Children Tour. And you're going to go to different places and bring change about, not just money and things that they need, but I feel that you're bringing more knowledge to these places. That's what I'm seeing. So
wow,
you have to remember.
oh, I'm
That's
gonna cry.
beautiful.
Thank you. So I want to invite everybody to join me when I get it together, and I get the fundraiser together, to join me
Yes.
to donate money to this cause. And
Yes.
and I love that book. I've been told before that I need to write a book, so thank you, because that is something that I need to step into my power in as well.
With artwork, I feel like you could do the artwork in it too, and the artwork and the words. I could see. It's like this big, and the pages are thicker. They're not like thin little pages. They're thick and stuff. And a child would want to read it as well as an adult go through it. Anyway, it's your book.
Oh, yes. I got to get started on it then. That's so perfect. Yeah, so for the fundraiser part of it, I'm going to be either offering like free sessions or just whatever we can do. I was going to gather a group of people, anybody who wants to sell essential oils and stuff, and maybe like auction it off, and then all that
Also
money is
need a
going
reading.
directly.
Yeah,
Thank you.
count us in.
If you guys want to do it with me, everybody could chip in with like just a little something, and that way people will feel more motivated to donate. And every single penny is, I want every penny to go directly to the kids, which is why I'm being very picky about who I'm going to use to get it down there.
Thank you.
So that was another thing that I came back with from this beautiful journey. I've obviously got some things that I need to start, that I'm going to start doing, and I'm putting into motion as a result of it. It's so interesting to come back and to kind of like, I know I use weird words like deafening and stuff, but it's the only way to describe the vibration. It's almost like coming back through a bubble, and you're like, wow, 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 like that kind of resonant energy of like bursting through something.
Beautiful.
That's kind of how I felt coming back. It was like, you're back in a different reality again, Chrysta. And my heart's still there, especially in Cusco, where Machu Picchu was, where the Sun Temple was, and everything like that. And so I know that piece of my heart that's still not physically there is going to, utilize that energy for these type of things, like writing a book, helping the children, doing more fundraisers, doing more things that are service-based, because, I've realized now how much I have.
You're going to attract other help.
In a story of loss, Do what?
You're going to attract other help. I see it. Julian Lennon is going to be with you and helping you. It's getting bigger by the minute. Because I sit here, his song kept coming through my head as I was thinking about you raising money. And his song is called, I think it's called Saltwater. And I'll send it to you later and you can hear it. And I'm thinking, oh my God, why is that song coming to me for Chrysta? I bet you're going to attract other organizations, maybe not the first year or the second, but maybe between the third and fourth and fifth years that you keep doing this, you're going to start attracting organizations that are going to be behind you, and you're going to be the face of that with what you're doing. Yeah, I see it. Anyway, woo.
Receive it. Thank you.
Let's hold space. Let's make this happen.
Thank you, everybody. Oh, well, okay, awesome. So I think that now I'm just like sitting in the energy. I think that my motor mouth might be charging.
We love listening to you talk. So I did go and track down one of my favorite pictures from your trip. Can I share it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So let me. It's got to have a mama, right?
I know it did.
Yes.
I was all about the llama. I was freaking out at your llama pictures. So just give me 1 second to figure this out.
The llamas were so awesome there,
There it
guys.
is.
There it is.
That's my brother from another mother.
That was the best
Yeah.
picture. I was
My llama.
dying.
He didn't want to kiss, but that's okay.
It was the best picture. Like the look on your face and the look on the llama's face was gold. I was like, this is it. This is her joy right here.
Yeah.
It was
That's when it
that was
became
one of the
real
best
to
parts.
me.
Yeah.
When I saw you there with the llamas and the ruins behind there, it's like, oh my God, it really happened. That's when it hit home for me. Like,
They
oh.
were
That was such a
everywhere,
good
and they were
picture.
so docile. Like they were totally chill. Like they were fine with us following them around and taking selfies with them. You can see that one has a little tag on his ear because they take care of them. They have parts. I
Oh.
didn't know that. I thought they were like free range or something,
Right.
because so the park rangers there actually like feed them and take care of them, and they love humans apparently. And so there was one there that had a little limp, a brown one, and
Oh.
so we were able to look at her ear tag, see her name, and go to the guy and say this llama has a limp, and they got a truck out and everything. They drove over there to get the baby and take her and check her out and everything. And it was so cool to see them in their element because they've been there since before all of this. They were there back
Yes.
then when the Incan people were
Yes.
it was being taken over by the Spaniards in the 14 and 1500s. And they don't even have to mow the grass. Like everything there is completely gleaned and perfect because of these beautiful llamas. And it was really interesting because my girlfriend who took me, her name is Lorena, right? And she's a vegan or a vegetarian because she is a huge animal advocate. She does not like the mistreatment of animals in any capacity, right? And so even more so when she's around animals, she has this just animal whisperer energy, okay? And so when the llamas were around her, they'd be leaning in for her selfies. Mine, they're kind of leaning out and stuff. And it was so cute. So we got after the tour, we got to like walk around by ourselves a little bit and kind of meander around different things. And she goes, Chrysta, there's a baby over here. And we go and look down just down the edge from the backside where the mountain starts going down, and there was a newborn within the hour. Within
Oh
the
my
hour, because
God.
umbilical
That's
cord,
beautiful.
my mom's
Wow.
little finishing thing,
What a huge
and
blessing.
we were just like, what? Like we were here of
Wow.
all the times when a llama is
Oh.
born on the top of Machu Picchu. And
Oh,
so
yes.
we got the park rangers out there. We were like, there's a newborn. Can you name it Lorena?
Oh. Oh.
So we put it in, and so Lorenzo Lamas, isn't there an actor like Lorenzo Lamas or
Lorenzo,
something?
yeah.
Yes, I met
Yeah.
him.
That was coming up in my head while this was all happening.
That's so
And
funny.
so to us, the newborn baby was Lorena. But it was really awesome. We literally just sat and kind of looked at and oohed and awed at the mother and this newborn for about 20 minutes, and attracted a ton of other tourists too that wanted to take pictures, and it was just so beautiful to see that experience up there, especially because it still gives the site such a sense of sacredness, right, or untouchableness, even though it's being swarmed with tourists from these hours
Right.
of the day. There's still such a sense of like wonder and naturalness to it. And so it was really, really cool to see the baby being born. And
love
she just
that.
kind of looked at us and was doing the leaning into her mom because, they walk like within an hour of being born. So she was still kind of like leaning and stuff. And we were like, don't fall down the mountain. We were watching her. And so, but Lorena was like, that's my llama. That's my llama. The whole time it
Yes.
was there.
That's
You were
awesome.
one of the first people it's seen. Isn't that so cool?
She saw it first, and then I was like, oh my gosh! And yeah, it was perfect. It was really great.
That is
It was
amazing.
so cool, and the culture was so nice. So not to just keep yakking about it, but one other thing I thought was really funny that I wanted to share with you that kind of explains the nature of like the Bolivian and the Peruvian people and how they're always in a state of gratitude and joy and all of those things. They have really good food there. First of all, okay, I'll just start with that. Obviously, I ate my way through a lot of places, but
Ooh.
they have these little things called salteñas, and they're like a pot pie, like a chicken pot pie or a beef pot pie, and they even put alpaca in some of them. but they're shaped like an empanada, kind of like a half pie or a fried pie. It's fried, and they serve it to you like you're supposed to eat it with just your hands. Not like a pie that you like cut and you like scoop out the juices like I'm used to with the chicken pot pie. And they do give you a spoon. And so what you're supposed to do is, and they watched me do it. It was really funny because I got, I'm totally fine with being the butt of the joke in a few scenarios. In a few scenarios, I already kind of was, getting laughed at when I'm like, ancient alien technology, cheating on the mountain. Chrysta mode the whole time. So they're waiting on me to bite into it, and they're like, just so you know, there's a rule here, and that is you're not allowed to let the juice drip out of your salteña, like at all. You're not allowed to let it drip out.
Wow.
And they like shake it to kind of get the juice to like soak into the edges, and then they just bite into it. I bit into it. It literally spewed everywhere.
Oh my goodness.
I made
Oh,
a huge
wow.
mess. Okay, so just so you know, that means you're a bad kisser.
Oh,
And everybody at the table started laughing. They're like,
So how do you bite into it without squirting?
that's funny.
yeah, you gotta go all in, I guess. And so I got my little spoon and I was able to scoop out the rest of it. But it was, they have really funny jokes and they enjoy eating together and they have a really good sense of humor and living, like I said, in less than, or what we would consider less than. They have so much more abundance and joy and prosperity in day to day, where, just little things like that, like laughing about the American who's a bad kisser because she can't keep her juice in her salt.
That's great.
Yeah, it was fun. It was delicious. I had another. I didn't care. I was like, can you bring me a bib?
Yeah. That's awesome.
It was really
What
good.
an awesome experience. I'm so glad you got to do that and then share it with us too. Like, thank you for that because that's something we all hope to do at some point. But, to be able to see your pictures and to be able to kind of hear about the journey and how really powerful and life-changing it was for you. I love how the universe was like, hey, just so you know, we're going to mess with your identity while you're there. So let's start now. And right before you go, boom.
That's it.
You're
That's
releasing your identity, so we're going to make sure you know that before you even set foot on the plane. This is coming.
That is so crazy that I hadn't even made that connection.
Yeah.
Just now when you said that.
Synchronicity. Yeah.
That's the first thing I thought. They're
Wow, I
like,
hadn't
yeah,
even
so my
made that
identity.
connection.
And I was like, well, yeah, because they totally, mess with your identity before you even went. Like, of course.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, intense. That's
Amazing.
so amazing. Wow. Yes. Wow. Definitely. Going back into that trust as well. Yeah, that's so cool.
I love that.
So inspiring, and it's like, we're going through so much right now, just being able to really, kind of lose attachment to everything that's happening around us and really go within, and sometimes it's really hard when you have all this chaos going on around you. And, you took stuff that was just, I don't know, it's just so many things happening, so many intense experiences, and you really saw the gift in every single one. And I really just want to give you credit for that because that's so important to help us be able to reconnect with that, to be able to come back to that place where instead of thinking that everything is happening to us or, this journey was really to bring you back to you, and help you release everything that was keeping you from recognizing yourself,
Right
and
back to your roots.
I love it. And so that's really important for us right now too. When you took that journey for you took it for every single one of us that are connected with you, and it ripples out, and it just keeps going. And so thank you for blessing us with that.
Oh, thank you so much. I've got goosebumps. You're touching my heart. I encourage everybody not to wait, to go on a vacation or to take that time for yourself, because when you strip away all of that, that is where the true healing happens. And when you go into that space, you don't have to necessarily leave the country to do it, but I encourage everybody to find a way to create that experience within yourself, whether it be more alone time, turning off the TV, anything where you can go in, and once you're in that vibration, you're given the pen to like rewrite the expression of your DNA.
Absolutely, so powerful.
Thank you all
right,
so
much. What kind of services do you offer for our audience who may not know you as well as we do? What kind of things do you offer so they can connect with you if they like to find out more?
Yes, I like to label myself the pain catalyst consultant. So what I do is I help people locate the catalyst for the manifestation of their emotional and their physical pain. And obviously, because it's a process that I walk through on my own healing journey, not just this one, but my other one, to overcome endometriosis, chronic pain and fatigue, chronic anxiety and stress. And it's a process that I utilize with people, not just with like muscle testing, but also by doing regression and doing Reiki and doing meditations, especially to go inward, as well as honing in on the root of where the density is within the body, because it usually expresses in a pattern. And so I utilize different modalities, not just like woo-woo and spiritual things, but also supplements and diet and things that have to do with your actual physical health as well. So mind, body, and spirit in a sense. And so I walk people through a wellness plan that I create for them using these different modalities so that they can overcome any ailment that they have been either diagnosed with or they've taken on as their identity. And being able to shed that for them and help them become their own hero as well through that process, kind of like I did. So yes, reach out to me, synchronista.com, or join me on my shows on the Way of Conscious Mindfulness, where I like to talk about different scientific things that are corroborating the spiritual nature of our reality and all the things we deemed previously as supernatural that are actually within the realm of our possible infinite potential. And yeah, so I also do, a free 20-minute consultation to see, to get to know people, and then to get kind of dive right into it, and then throw out some tips, and then let them know what offerings that I have, and then also I offer a ton of support. Just creating a safe space for somebody to be able to process emotions in and of itself is a healing modality. And so if there's anything that I do, that would probably be the most important thing, is creating a safe space for people, because I think that a lot of the reason why people don't allow themselves to heal is because they don't feel safe doing so, because a lot of things are serving them as a protection mechanism. And we are definitely called to live in our divinity and our sovereignty and our own strength. And yeah. So reach out to me if you have any more questions.
I love
Thanks
it.
so
You're
much.
amazing. And can you just drop your links in the comments after?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Sure.
So if anybody wants to get a hold of her, there will be comments. She'll comment in the link, or she'll comment her links after the show. Check it out, and they'll be there listed, so you can just connect with her anytime. And yeah, thank you so much for coming on and hanging out with us and sharing your story.
Thanks for
That
having me.
was so much fun, and we will definitely be having you back, and we'll definitely be coming on your show too, because you know that we want to hang out with you as much as possible.
And you both have events coming up. Chrysta, Kiera, and I have an event, and then Rhonda, Bex, Kiera, and Haley and me have an event. Chrysta, you want to tell about your event coming up?
Yes.
The Return to Source, Heal Yourself, and the Planet. Yeah.
Yes, we have an event coming up on, it's the 27th? Is that it?
Yes.
Or is it
Yes. Sunday the 27th, right after Spirit Sessions.
Yes, and this is going to be Kira bringing some beautiful energy, body movement exercises via Qigong. I'm going to be doing Reiki and connecting in with the ley lines of the earth. So we're going to be doing an ancestral healing and an earth grid healing using the Scorpio new moon, which is the deep waters of deep emotions. And it's going to be a beautiful event, and Teresa is going to be bringing that dragon energy through, as well as some other ancestors and guides and angels, and we're going to work together, to hold space. And each person that attends this event is going to get a map of the ley line. We're going to look at where we are on the earth and create our own grid and tap into that as conduits, as well as that energy in our meridian system and our own body. And it's going to be so beautiful. I'm super excited about it. So join us, please, on the 27th. Return to Source.
That's amazing.
It's time. It's time. And then Bex, you want to describe what we've been working on behind those doors?
Oh, we have been bringing through some really amazing stuff. We're putting together a 4-part workshop, the Sacred Sisterhood Guidance Page group. We are working on bringing through, quantum leap manifesting is what we've been really guided to kind of bring through for everybody. And our theme is going to be how to really manifest when you're in the shit. And that's what that's going to be. We have a lot of it going around the shit. Like, what is the shit? How do you move through it? How do you use it to fertilize your dreams and all of that? So we're really going to be having fun with that. and that's going to be coming up in November, but we are going to open it up for the early bird special, right? To for anybody who
Yeah.
wants to buy ahead of time, we'll have a special for that
Yeah.
starting on the 10th, I believe we talked about. So it's coming together, and it's going to be really fun, and we're super excited. So anybody who wants to learn how to take their manifestation abilities to that next level and really hone those abilities and really understand how to work with them, it's going to be really powerful. So yeah, that's what we're doing.
Woo.
Yeah, it's exciting. We're having fun with
Good
it.
things coming up.
Mhm.
Time for it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, we're just beginning to tap into our power, and we have no clue how much bigger we really are. So getting to explore in that realm of, the infinite is just, it's exciting and fun, and, getting to really have that playground sense of where we can just do anything. I love it. It's
Yes.
great.
And we're
Yeah.
doing it all together, all of
Right.
us. All of our energies adding to it, making it beautiful and manifest.
Yes, absolutely. It's going to be so much
Are we
fun.
asking the rock and roll song?
We can ask her again. I know she answered it before.
Yeah,
We
she
have.
answered it last time.
So if you had to pick up the song to be the theme song of your life right now, what would it be?
Ooh, okay, that's interesting. So I'm a Tom Petty freak, as I think Teresa knows. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so
yeah.
it's always probably a different Tom Petty song every day of the week, but today it would be "Don't Have to Live Like a Refugee."
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect.
Woo. Yeah.
I love
Keep
that
that
one.
theme song. Keep
Yeah.
that going.
Mhm.
I love it. Yeah. We'll play that when you
There
go
you
on
go.
stage. No.
Right. Yeah, she'll walk out on that. That's perfect.
Yeah,
That would
I
be
love
perfect.
that. I
I love
love
it.
that.
So I do have to share this week's winner, who shared out the most last week. And the
Woo.
winner who won a mini reading with me is Marla Torres. So thank you, Marla, and
Woo.
I'll contact you soon to set up your reading. And we appreciate all the love and support from you guys. Please keep sharing out. Whoever shares out the most this week will win a reading with Teresa. So, and she has options that you can choose from, and she's got powerful stuff she brings through, so you don't want to miss your chance to win that. Yeah, so please share this out and just, invite people in and share out the page too as well. We would love it if you guys would share out the page, get
Yes.
more people on our
Yes.
page. You guys are doing all the support you give us really helps us keep going. So we really appreciate it. We love what we do, and it's an honor to hang out with you guys every week.
Yes. I love that. Well, love you all. Have a good week, and we'll see you next week.
Yes, have a blessed week.
Namaste.
Y'all, love you guys. Transcendent love.
Okay, this button. Okay, I had to figure out where to go. Sorry. Okay, bye
I
now.
don't know what I'm doing.